tuck my shirt in so when I do my stretches, my belly doesn't fall out. I don't really have much of a belly. But either way. Gonna take off my socks and sandals too. Not my sandals, my slippers. Feels more yoga doing it in bare feet. Wonder what the viewing audience thinks of. When they're tuning in and seeing this dude stretching, they're not liking it. Because if they're not liking it, they can change the channel. They can start stretching as well. They can go get themselves some coffee. All of it's good. I think it's important I keep doing this. I'm debating doing it. I debate everything. I debate doing my show every morning. I don't debate drinking coffee, so I don't debate everything. Let's see, move the hips that way. This kind of hurts. This might be a little aggressive of a stretch for first thing in the morning. But I certainly debate doing my show every morning. And then, wait a minute, hold on, down here. Then I debate if I'm going to do it outside. Wait a minute, what do I do now? And I debate if I'm going to do some stretching. That cracked my back, that felt good. Go to the ground. Debate if I'm going to... I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I think when you have an active mind, and I talk a lot about my own anxiety. Good morning, Lotus. Good morning, E. Kelly and Dennis. Jacob wants to know what time it is. It's 5:39 a.m. Good morning, Rick. Gonna continue to do my stretching for a few more minutes. Good morning to you, Lotus Star. I don't know if I'll do my stretching for a few more minutes. I think the nice thing, again, I really pound the table on habits and how important they are for me. And I really think they are. And I really think if you have an anxious, overly active mind, you're either going to be doing positive things like exercise or stretching or your mind's going to be going in the other direction. Hello, RJ. And for me, I wake up every morning and I think, oh crap, what do I got to get done today? And the first two words that are going through my mind being, oh crap, every morning, probably isn't a good way, to get started with your thoughts on the day. But I don't almost think I can stop myself from doing that. I don't think I can stop myself from doing that. Lotus is saying you just got to breathe. Yeah, breathing works. Of course. Taking deep breaths and focusing on your breath, that's meditation. But as a guy that's also trying to stay somewhat fit, cracked my back on that. Into his mid-50s. Happy baby pose. I like to breathe and move and feel the sensations in your body. gets your mind on that. Oh, it feels so good. I tell you what. I don't know. I say it a lot. Habits make the man. They certainly make this man. Had so many bad habits. Oh, I got the hammies. What bad habits? I mean, probably the worst habit I had was the negative self-talk that I had bouncing around my head most of my life. Because if you got negative self-talk and a low self-esteem, which seems funny because, I mean, I always was fairly confident in certain abilities I had, but maybe the voice in the back of my head wasn't so kind or wasn't so confident, or yeah. So I'd say the worst habit again is having a negative self-talk, because that leads to all the other stuff. That leads to the drinking and the gambling and the smoking pot and the, I don't know, lethargy. Can you talk about how you felt as a broker? Current financial advisor here. Did I ever have a midlife crisis in my 40s? Yeah, I can. And I can answer both those. And I don't think I had a midlife crisis in my 40s would be my answer to that. But I'm still getting going and haven't had my coffee yet. I love the questions. I really do. I love the engagement. I do. And that makes this show kind of fun for me. I can do it by myself just talking. But then at the end of it, I don't feel as satisfied. I mean, sometimes I do, because I got stuff off my chest, but not every morning do I have stuff off my chest to get. And this morning, again, I thought of a couple things I wanted to talk about and was going, do I have enough to say? Do I have enough to say? And I was reminded to a woman saying I'm kind of like Mr. Rogers for adults yesterday's show. And made me feel good and made me feel purposeful and made me feel like I didn't have to entertain, because I don't think Mr. Rogers was striving to be funny or overly charming, or he was just being himself and kind of talking with his calm demeanor and talking about being kind and what have you. So, do I want to sit on the floor? No, I don't want to sit on the floor. Do I want to sit on the floor? No, I don't want to sit on the floor. See, I debate everything. And it's funny, I've been talking about going on my adventure, and I leave in 8 days, God willing. And I'm going to keep this coffee covered till I find a good spot to say good morning to you. Let's say, you deserve a sip. You're right, I do deserve a sip. Uh-oh, there we go. Sorry, I wanted to make sure the lens of my camera was clean. I wonder how many of you out there made your bed this morning. I guess that's not my concern. And I talked about that yesterday on A Few Thoughts with Ken. This show's not about, I'd like you to improve your lives or work on your lives or try and get a little better or talk kinder to yourself or be kinder to the world and make the world a better place. But I think my involvement in all of your lives can only go so far. And I was talking about it yesterday. I think one thing I struggled with my mother or my mom was she was always so worried about me, because she was kind of emotional and she was a lot like me and she was empathic and she was always so worried about me. So no matter what, she'd call and she'd read something into my tone or hear something in my tone, and she might have been right. But she'd get so worried, then I'd get worried about her, and it'd be a spiral. And I think and we all need to put that down and that responsibility of other people's emotions down, because it's a huge burden to carry. We're all struggling with our own emotions and our own feelings and our own day-to-day activity. And I can suggest stretching, and I can say how good it feels to start my morning with stretch, or how good it feels to turn your thoughts around in the morning and wake with a little gratitude. But I can't really worry if Lotus or RJ, or I shouldn't worry, at least, actually makes his bed in the morning. So, I'd suggest it. And I'd suggest, if you're thinking a bunch of yucky stuff in your mind, that you find something to be grateful for. And keep doing that till your mind is in a good place and you're ready to take on the day. And then give yourself a let's go and get out of bed and make your bed and go to the washroom and make your coffee and pour your water and do your stretching and drag on the intro to the show for as long as possible. But good morning to you. My name is Ken Tracy, and this is Coffee with Ken. It is Friday morning. It's a big Friday morning for me. I'll get to that in a bit. It's 5:48 a.m. Happy Friday. It's a show about me talking and sharing some experiences. Good morning. Sharing a little bit about life, sharing a little bit of so-called wisdom from a guy that's 55 years old, that's had a lot of highs and lows and a lot of anxiety and negative self-talk. But for those that have been watching a while, RJ, patience is a virtue. Remember that. I got a nice hot cup of coffee that I am looking forward to having my first sip. And my hope is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, let me have a little water first. You got a nice hot cup of coffee in front of you as well. Cheers to us. It's a midnight blend. I got a little story about this coffee. I think my stories are always funny for me. I edit all these videos into TikToks and Reels and Shorts and spread them out all over social medias. I love doing the lives. I love starting my day with lives. I think I'd probably do it from now on, even if nobody was watching. Because again, it's become a habit of who I am and what I do. But occasionally I'll say something with some wisdom in it, in a little nugget, and I'll cut it out and make it a short or a reel or a TikTok for various social media platforms. And I catch myself. I mean, I go a lot because I don't have a script. I'm not following a script. So I'll see that I say between my thoughts because I'm just up here talking and then thinking of the next thing to say. But I also catch myself saying, this is funny, or this happened and it was funny. And then I often realize, I wonder if the viewer really thought it was funny, because it might have been a little chuckle for me, but I don't know if it's super funny for the viewing audience, because but anyway, I was preparing my coffee this morning, and I'm staying at a buddy's for the next week before I head off on my journey west. Oh yeah, my journey west. And he has a Keurig machine, which I'm not that familiar with. I mean, I know I've made probably 1,000 cups on a Keurig coffee maker. I know how they go. And I know you have to not only push the button on top, but put your coffee underneath in the Keurigs to gather the coffee as it comes through the coffee machine. I forgot to do that important step this morning, and I went to the washroom and came back down and looked and realized the coffee was just kind of running without a cup to gather it. Fortunately, at the bottom of his Keurig is a large, I don't know, it's a reservoir or a basin or a splash thing to gather said coffee. For those of us that aren't smart enough to put our coffee cup in the Keurig and gather the coffee. So by the time I got there, and it was still going, there was only probably 2 or 3 ounces of coffee at my cup when that first cup got made. And I figured, hey, I can't do my show with this. Let's do it again. So I made another one, and instead of setting it for 12 ounces, which is my normal amount, I set it for 10 because I did not want to overflow my coffee. And the long story short is I got a delicious, hot, and extra full cup of coffee this morning, and I'm going to have another sip. Oh, it's a midnight blend. It's a dark roast. It's lovely. It's lovely. How was my second cup? No, I didn't have a second cup, Lotus. This is still my first cup. I didn't drink that. There was like 2 ounces or 3 ounces at the bottom of my cup. And I just put this on top of it. These are my first few sips you're experiencing with me. That's the shtick of Coffee with Ken. That's the way we roll here. You get to see me before coffee, and during coffee, and after coffee. So it's Friday morning. How you guys doing? When in a relationship, do you like PDA, public display of affection, RJ? I think holding hands is really sweet. And I think a peck on the cheek or even a peck on the lips is really sweet. I don't want to see people making out. Or groping. But I think holding hands is sweet. And again, a peck on the cheek or I like, PDA to a point. I think it kind of inspires me when I see people in love. I was doing a show a couple of years ago where I was walking through a forest preserve, and I was going through a particularly hard day, recently separated from my wife, and on the way to a divorce, my second. And hey, thank you, Alexander from London. Again, I was on my way to my second divorce, and I was doing a video about giving up on marriage. And I'm walking along these cinder paths, and I just finished my video, and I was putting my phone in my pocket, and 2 little old people, sorry, I don't mean to makes the story cuter if I call them little old people, but they were old. They're probably upper 70s, early 80s, something like that, maybe older, walking along the path, holding hands. And I thought it was God sending me a message that maybe there's value in marriage, and there's goodness in marriage, and there's goodness in commitment and love and all those things. Because at that moment I was doubting it all and stuck in my own stuff and my own issues with my second wife and my own fighting and my own struggles and my own pain. And I think seeing some affection between a couple people can inspire. And it certainly did on that day. And again, I love seeing people in love. It inspires me and gives me hope. And I think hope's pretty important. So let's have another sip of coffee. Did I have a midlife crisis in my 40s? No, I don't think so. I think I've been in a constant state of crisis since the day I was born. Just kind of worrying about stuff and afraid about stuff. Lotus says she loves me. Well, thank you, Lotus. That's very kind of you. So no, I don't remember going through any midlife crisis at all. The years go quickly, though. And I certainly did my period of buying fancy cars. I still like nice cars. And I bought a motorcycle 10 years ago, but I wouldn't say that was a midlife crisis. I think that was out of necessity. I was going through my first divorce, and I was broke as a joke, and I was a realtor, and I didn't have any big paychecks coming in, and we were a one-car family, and my first wife had the car. And I was talking to a buddy, and he suggested I go buy a scooter. And I had a commission check for a rental deal coming in that was going to be $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that. And I got on Craigslist, and I never thought that I would be a guy that rides on two wheels, because honestly, I'm scared of it. My palms are sweaty at the thought. And bought this scooter, and it gave me mobility, and I rode it till December when I had enough money for a yucky old Volkswagen Jetta. But it got me through from September to December what I needed to get through. And then I loved it the next year and loved it the next year. And I ended up buying a bigger one, which I still have today, is a Suzuki Bergman 400, which I'm going to be driving cross country with in a week. And I'm terrified of that, but I'm also excited about that. And it's part of the adventure that is life. So, yeah. Somebody asked me about being a said while I was stretching, asked me about my experience as a stockbroker. So I'll talk about that for a minute. Let me have another sip of coffee. I went to school at University of Illinois. I graduated in 1990. I had a finance degree. I was always good with numbers and always interest and savings and math and flashcards. I was always real good. So I went to school originally for computer science and mathematics. But somewhere during my sophomore year, the math classes got very advanced. And I'm going, hey, I know 8 times 8 is 64, but what the heck are you talking about up there? I mean, it gets really advanced. Math gets really, really, really complicated at higher level collegiate levels, and you're going, I don't even know, where's the numbers? Where's the numbers? What's going on? And yeah, but anyway, so I go, I might be out of my league in this math stuff at this level. And I took my math skills, if you will, over to finance, because again, I could apply my numbers to, or my math skills or my ability with numbers to real world applications and interest rates and, what have you. I thought the stock market. And I was always interested in investments. The first investment, real investment I ever made with a stockbroker, I guess, was probably my sophomore year in college, or maybe my junior year, and one of my best friends to this day and I used to watch stocks, and we're in finance together, and realized that Apple Computer between, I don't know, January and March always had a big move up or down, and we decided to pool our money, and we took our money. We each had $300 or something. We took it into a broker's office and bought like 2, I don't even know if they were puts or calls. A put is betting that a stock goes down, and a call is betting that a stock goes up. And it's a way to bet on the price movement in stocks. And I don't remember if we were betting that it went up or went down, but either way, we were ready to place a bet. And we each put in $300. And again, we pooled our money into one account and bought like 2 puts or 2 calls. And the stock did exactly as we wanted. And our $300 each turned into like $1,200 each or $1,500 each, something like that. But we did pretty well, and it paid for our trip and then some. And I was kind of hooked. I'm going, wow, that was easy. Let's keep doing this. And so anyway, at that time, my brother Steve was just getting into the brokerage business, and he was a strong personality guy, had some struggles in life. I think he had the anxious mind I did, and my goal in life is to kind of hug and kiss the world, and his was kind of to combat and fight the world. But either way, he was was real good at talking and had a real powerful personality, and became a stockbroker at a company called L&F Rothschild. And I don't know if it still exists, but either way, started doing well. He was a broker during the October of '87 crash, and I remember some things he was telling me and explaining to me about the margin calls that were going to happen, I think, on that following Monday, and how hard the market was going to be, and he was right. and what have you. But he started making a ridiculous amount of money. A ridiculous amount of money. Yeah. And I was a young kid, about 20 years old at the time, and thought a ridiculous amount of money sounded pretty good after graduating. And I have a finance degree, and I like to talk. And if Steve can do it, I can do it. So I became a stockbroker. But the summer before my senior year, I worked as a caller at Lehman Brothers, which was a huge founding father on Wall Street company that now no longer exists, disappeared during 2008 mortgage crisis. And but I was working for him, and I was making $5 an hour, calling, just dialing. I don't know if we had rotary dial or we could actually push, but there was no headset, and I was like this. And I'd go, "Hello, Mr. Jones, I have a call for Steve Tracy. One moment and I'll connect you." And I put it on hold. And my whole job that whole summer was to get through the gatekeepers, the wives or the secretaries or what have you, and get to the wealthy guy whose name was on my card. And let me tell you, it was a hellish job, because all you're doing, you don't even get the glory of presenting an idea or saying good morning to Mr. Jones, hardly. You're only battling the secretaries, and the secretaries are well trained to not let you get through the call. But anyway, did that, and honestly hated it. But I thought it was really neat, putting on a tie and heading downtown and going, the smells of the city and the smell of LaSalle Street and the masses of people leaving the train and walking through the city together and wearing a tie and feeling like I'm a professional. And but anyway, after college I did that. I was making $5 an hour again, got my license, qualified leads, started cold calling, did fairly well, and made enough money that I couldn't almost leave it, because there was no other job I could make that much money doing. And although I didn't like the job and was stressed out as heck, I thought the money I was making validated my existence. And even if my clients lost money, well, I still had a fancy car. Hopefully they'll make money on the next investment. And but it was a soulless job. And near the end, I couldn't do it at all. The phone looked like a anvil that I had to pick up and call and either tell a client why he lost money or pitch another idea or try and generate more commission. And I think that's kind of led me on the path that I'm on, of trying to share my story and share my wisdom and not worry about how much money I'm making or not making. And kind of taught me some lessons about the value of money, or the lack of value of money. And want to share those lessons by doing my little show, Coffee with Ken. I believe RJ asked if I was a realtor during the mortgage crisis. I certainly was. I got licensed in 2005. And I got licensed at the end of 2005, and the mortgage crisis happened in 2008. As a realtor who's trying to support a family, you have great months and you have not great months. I never got to the level of success where the valleys in my income were enough to be okay. And you'd have huge peaks and you'd make 30 grand in a month where you'd have 4 sales or something like that. But then you might have a couple months where you either have one sale, and one sale was barely enough to pay your bills, and God forbid you didn't have a sale, and you had to pay your taxes quarterly. At least you were supposed to. I never did, so I was always behind, and was always kind of living paycheck to paycheck, even though the paychecks could be huge. And that was tough. And there were times in my career where I said, I can't do this. I need some sort of regular income. And 2008 happened to be one of those times. And I had a buddy named Chris, who was a childhood friend who I ran into somewhere, and he owned a small limo company. And I was driving a limo for him for several months during that time. And I remember hearing the announcement that, I was listening to the AM radio that had business news coming on, and they were talking about Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers, I don't know, going broke, or their stock dropping 90% in a day. And these were companies I knew and companies I'd worked for. And I'm going, holy crud, something's going on. And they were interesting times, and that led to from the market boom to the market bust. And, I was just getting started at the time. I'd been in the business 2 years or so, but I didn't have enough clients or a database of people that knew me as a realtor. So I was still just getting my feet wet. And so most of my activity was just getting going. And anytime anybody bought a house from me, they were down on their investment in a month because home prices, and I don't know if it's ever happened before, because homes were kind of a rock investment that would grow slowly and steadily over time. And they started going down. Everybody that bought a house from me was down on their investment. And, I think they bottomed out like 30% below the highs. And that was tough. But, you shouldn't be looking at your home as a bank account. It should be, or even really an investment vehicle. It's a place to raise a family. And God willing, it works out as a good investment. I think that's a win-win. But that was a time where people were taking out, doing mortgage equity loans, and they are again, or equity lines of credit, and taking out the equity on their homes. And banks were given no-doc loans and cash, like 110% loan to value. You'd buy, I don't know if the 110% is true, but it's something like that. You'd buy a $300,000 home, the bank could loan you $330,000. How crazy is that? You had negative equity from the start. Just seems crazy. Yeah. And again, we're seeing it again. We're seeing adjustable rate mortgages being popular now because we've seen interest rates rise from 3% up to 7%. And the pendulum always swings too far, and we're going to see stupid speculation, and we're going to see stupid loaning again, and we're going to see all the same things that we saw back then, and the bubble's going to pop again. And I don't even know where that bubble's going to be next time. And I'm not saying I can forecast the future, but I sure can see a pattern. And the things we thought were so silly 10 years ago are happening again. And, so let's have a little more coffee. Did I drive a stretch limo? Yes, I did. I mean, he had multiple kinds, and it depended on the run I was taking, but most of his cars were stretch limos. And honestly, wasn't that hard to drive. I remember, when I was driving to and from the city in busy traffic a lot of times, and I remember talking to my buddy going, well, how do you change lanes? You got this huge, long thing. And he goes, well, people kind of are aware of you and stay out of the way. And one day I actually kind of parallel parked on a snowy winter day as I was picking up a buddy and his girlfriend to take them somewhere. And there was a huge spot. And I don't know if I front slid in. I do think I actually used the snow to get me in. So I feel like I'm a really good parallel parker. Gave out, while the USA gives out $60 billion to Ukraine. Yeah, I don't know my thoughts on that. I don't watch a whole lot of news these days. I'll flip to CNBC a couple times a day to see what's kind of going on in the world and in the markets. But I think watching the news is generally a bad habit, and it doesn't improve your soul or your spirit. And knowing about every bombing in the Middle East, or war going on, or buses crashing, or floods happening, never really made me feel better or made me feel more prepared to take on the day. And knowing about every tragedy that's going on in the world, I think almost violates my little world. And my little world is really what I have control over. And if I can take care of this, I can take care of my kids and my family and my friends and my viewers and what have you. But if I get so obsessed, and there are people, my dad watches Fox News all the time and always seems kind of, I don't know, well educated on what's going from a right side of the aisle political view. And again, I go to a gym several times a week, and they got a bunch of TVs, and CNN's up here and Fox is up there, and they're both covering the same story, but you wouldn't know it because their perspective is totally different. Totally different. And it just seems so funny. And my life got a little, during COVID, I was obsessed with watching the news, and we were all trapped at home. And I'll bet you all the news stations had their best ratings of all time. And I got so bitter that I was trapped at home and watching the news, and the news made me more bitter. And I don't know, maybe got more involved in some things than I wanted to or should have. And ran for a political office, school board, or tried to run here in Naperville, and wanted to make a difference, and honestly wanted to keep the schools open during COVID. I still think they should have. I still think they should have. I don't know. Don't want to bring up politics too much, but just was a sad time. And I know there were people dying, but it was a sad time seeing slides at the playground taped up and the fountains off and the streets empty and schools closed. And I think my oldest was going into her freshman year in high school, and she did it online, and that seems so wrong. And I think of the kids that went to college, and half their college experience was wiped out, and proms missed, and football games not played, and life not being lived. And I think so often we're programmed to worry. I'm going on this big journey in a week and a half or so, and could be probably will be the most exciting, one of the most exciting times of my life, and a crazy adventure, and super exciting. And I'm going to see beautiful places and do some cool things and do what I need to do to cover my responsibilities. But I cannot tell you how many people want to discuss their worry or their concern with me about it. And I think that's the way we're programmed, to focus in on the negative and focus in on the worry or what could go wrong. And we don't spend enough time thinking about what could go right. And life's going to happen no matter how preventative I am, and no matter how worried I am or careful I am or healthy of a diet I have. I can be backing up out of the driveway today and get hit by a car or have a heart attack, or tomorrow's not promised. All we have is today that we know, and right now. And I think for me, and I know for others, because it's been ridiculous. I've had lengthy calls about everything that could go wrong on my trip with many different people, and I feel I'm soothing them, saying, well, that could happen. Worst case, I got run over by a truck. And I say it so plainly because they're worried about the weather getting bad. And I don't know. I think if you just take it to, well, worst case, I got run over by a truck. And that's true. And if that happens, I'll still be proud of myself for going on my journey and trying to live life and doing what I think's right and doing what I think's best. and going for something that I'm excited about going for. I had an interesting experience yesterday. I work out a lot. I was at the gym. I'm on my phone probably more than I should be and more than most of us are. As I'm leaving the gym, I'm packing up my stuff. And a lot of times I was riding my scooter yesterday. And a lot of times I'll be put on my earphones and get the music started so I can ride listening to a little music while I'm riding. And I didn't yesterday, and I said, just go without music. And I was going to an appointment I had, and when I was about 2/3 there, I decided to check my pocket looking for my phone because I wasn't listening to music. I was wondering where my phone is, and it wasn't in my pocket where I thought it should be. And I'm riding my scooter. I was worried the phone fell out of my pocket while I'm riding. It's happened one time before. I got to my appointment. The appointment took longer than it should or normally would. And I was sitting there stressed because I didn't have my phone. And I was going, crap, I wonder if it fell out of my pocket on the road, or I wonder if I left it at the gym, or I wonder this, and I'm worried about this. And I was thinking about cars running over my phone on the road, or what am I going to do without my phone, or how I'm going to need my phone for my trip, and all sorts of terrible thoughts. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, maybe I just left it at the gym, and maybe some nice person turned it in. But let me tell you, the next 2 hours was stressful. However, over the last 5 years, I've learned coping mechanisms and to accept life as it comes and to pray and to think about things I'm grateful for and to change my way of thinking. Because 5 years ago, had this happened, my mind would have been freaking out and I would have left and stormed out of the appointment and ruined my day and bitched and moaned to anybody that would listen about how I don't have my phone. And I managed to not tell a soul about it at the appointment, and people would come up and ask me how I'm doing. And said, I'm doing great. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, crap, where's my phone? So got to practice some patience and coping skills and what have you. And when I eventually got back to the gym, it was there, and I was like, But I think it was good practice for me to not be on my phone for a couple hours and to teach me to put worry aside and to believe that things happen for a reason, and to learn something from what otherwise could have been a negative experience if I let it be. And I'm not telling you there weren't moments of negativity in that experience. There was. But I think we learned from those. And we learned from those. RJ asked, where was it? It was, the woman behind the counter had it at her desk. So somebody must have turned it in. When I was packing up my bag, I must have left it in the locker and somebody turned it in. Today's Friday, and this isn't going to be a big news for you guys. Yeah, I tell you what, phew. Your phone's pretty important. We're all on ours right now. I think it'd be healthy if we all put ours away for 2 hours a day. It's something. Think about a future growth exercise. We'll start our morning with making our bed and doing our stretching, but I will maybe ingrain in all of us putting our phone down for 2 hours a day so we can live in the moment. The moment's a scary thing when you don't have a phone to occupy your brain. But it's a big day for me because a few weeks ago, I'm riding my scooter and the tires are bald. And it was going to rain, and I realized I needed new tires, but money was tight, so waited a little bit and ordered my tires. And the place at the my Suzuki dealer where I get my scooter service said they're all backed up, and they can't see me for 2 weeks. And I'm going, what do you mean 2 weeks? My tires are very bald. I'll tell you what, they had no compassion. I would have thought they would have squeezed me in. They didn't have any compassion for me and my terrified riding on bald tires at all. At all. He goes, you can call to see if there's any cancellations. And I've been calling and feeling like a fool, calling every day going, hey, is there any cancellations? No cancellations. What do you mean? We never got cancellations. Well, the first guy that made the appointment said to call and see if there'd be cancellations. There's been none. But today's the day that at 1 o'clock today, I get to take my scooter in, and they're going to change the oil and change the tires. And I'm hoping that's all that's needed, because I need this scooter. I'm going to be riding it a long distance in a week. And I'm hoping that it doesn't need new brakes or doesn't need any costly repair. It just needs a little love and TLC and new tires and an oil change and some just basic maintenance, and doesn't need anything expensive, because I don't have the budget for anything expensive. So I think that's going to work out, and I hope that's going to work out. And I'll tell you, I had a little experience last night. I was supposed to go to my second daughter's track meet. She's a freshman, and she's a pretty fast little runner, and she runs the sprints. And her sectionals was last night, and I was excited for her. And don't always see the things the same way as other people do, and was hoping she'd be really excited that she got to go to sectionals, and she was the only freshman running sectionals. And which is the meet before where you try and qualify to go to the state meet. And I was excited for her and proud of her that she got to keep running another week. But what I didn't really see it from was her perspective, where all of her friends and all the other freshmen on the team weren't running this week. And she was lonely, and she's been kind of sad going to practice, and her big sister didn't make it to sectionals. And her meet got canceled last night because it was cold and rainy. So they postponed it till tonight. I was talking to her on FaceTime, and I was kind of bummed for her, because I was hoping she'd be excited to run today, but she was saying how lonely she was and how she misses her friends, and doesn't talk to the distance runners, and all the other sprinters are older and kind of in a group together. And I felt so sad for her that she didn't get to run last night. Yeah, but she's running tonight, and the meet's tonight. I'm worried she's going to run an awesome time and qualify for state and have to run another week. That probably won't happen. But it kind of opened my eyes to seeing things from my point of view and seeing things from other people's point of view. Yeah. And I love her so much, and I'm so proud of her, but I was feeling horrible that she wasn't enjoying the experience as much as I wanted her to, and her season had to last one more long day. And I guess when I was a kid, that I could have had those feelings too. But as a dad, you look at your kids' experiences just through your eyes and your point of view and your pride and your cheer and your love and your enthusiasm. You know, maybe we don't. Maybe it's better if we, I don't know, try and see things from other people's point of views a little bit. And again, I'm still excited for her tonight at the meet, and I'm still proud of her for making it to a varsity meet as a freshman. And I'm proud of her for her first season, and proud of her who she's becoming as a young woman, and know she's going to face challenges, and know she's going to have struggles, and hope I've done my best to love on her and tell her how proud I am of her as she goes about her life and her track meet, and finishes up her freshman year and gets her first real job this summer and takes on life. And so one more sip of coffee. I want to thank you guys so much for joining today. It's 6:26 a.m. Coming at you from Naperville, this is Coffee with Ken. I want to thank you so much for joining. I go live most mornings between 5:30 and 6:30. And again, stay tuned. Stay tuned. More details about my adventure. And I'm going to take you on the road with me as best I can. Although my palms are sweaty just thinking about it. And maybe I should be focusing on the road in front of me rather than sharing the adventures. Hope the adventures go well. Or I talked about it earlier. All my friends' worries and concerns might be played out for you on live video. Hope that doesn't happen. But I hope you follow, and I hope you've enjoyed our morning together. I hope you're enjoying your coffee. I hope you're enjoying your week. I hope you had a great night's sleep. I hope you're excited about your day. Thank you again for joining. I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're loving yourself. I hope you're forgiving yourself. And as always, I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.